episode 157 of Seddy Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge. We're done. We're done last week touring the whole United States, a movie from every state. And this week...
Every state, 3 territories, couple weeks off. We did the U.S. in general once for Halloween.
So
Long time.
George picked England, from whence the United States was born.
Yes, this is the capper, the denouement, if you will, of our tour of the 50 Nifty United States.
Yeah, denouement.
Yep.
Deno Dad.
Tim.
Deno Nuts.
Do your.
You gonna tell us what movie was from England? You didn't say.
Oh, and to celebrate the death of the 50 Nifty States and the death of the United States, we're doing 1986's Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. 86, 9 years after Star Wars, changed the world.
Finally, exactly the same year, same exact time as Labyrinth came out.
Hey, age-old question. I do them about revenge.
Oh, this is the worst part.
It's
definitely the worst.
Did the dentist ever get revenge on her dental assistant who left the office window open all the time, and thus...
Why would they do that?
They did this, and the squirrels ended up stealing all the peanut butter-flavored dental floss. It's terrible.
I just don't understand, like, what state you're when you write these. You're like, that's the one I'm going to go with.
It's Seddy Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge. The show where we create revenge sequels that nobody wanted.
Seddy Bimco, Part 2. As of now, we're creating sequels to movies that never had them.
Yeah, we're going to change that soon, though.
Maybe things will change. And I'm Tim Hamilton.
I'm George O'Connor. I'm a New York Times best-selling cartoonist, but I don't do stuff for the New Yorker.
Nope. No, you don't. I'm trying to think of what else I do.
That's it.
Anyway.
That's all you do. You walk your dog. You write. You write age-old questions.
I like modern stuff. George makes fun of me.
Yeah,
George,
you're definitely
what's
a
your
fan
favorite
of modern
song
stuff.
off the new Lady Gaga album?
Poker Face.
Really? Not Abracadabra?
Nope.
I don't think Poker Face is a song on that album. But...
Nope, maybe it is. You wouldn't know because you're just shooting in the dark. You happen to see whatever by strange whatever Tim.
I like the song Abracadabra the best.
Can you sing a bar?
And the video. I'm not going to try to sing like Lady Gaga.
You don't have to sing. No, if you sing like Lady Gaga, we'll get hit with copyright. I want you to sing like... Actually, Tim, you are a master of impressions. Can you sing a line of Abracadabra, but sing it like Mark Twain?
No, I'll sing Abracadabra, the 84 hit by...
now you're in your...
Who did that?
You're in your...
Jay Giles band? I forget.
Abracadabra.
Yeah. Wasn't Jay Giles. It was a famous...
Was it Steve Miller band?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, wrong band.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, we're really getting more the Tim zone of things to mention the 80s. That's the tail end of Tim's knowledge.
I saw them live. It kind of
peaks at 77, and everything after that he gets shakier on.
Do you not want to hear that I saw them live?
No, I'm trying to respect you. No, I mean...
And it was in the 80s, and I simply won free tickets on the radio.
And that's how I saw the Doobie Brothers. My mom won tickets.
What? On the radio?
Yep.
Wow. That was the tail end of their time.
Me and my friend went, and we were easily the youngest person there by 20 years.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oof.
It was
Doobie
a sad...
Brothers.
Yeah, that might have been good. It was good, right?
Who would you rather... If you had to go today to see either the Doobie Brothers or the Steve Miller Band, who would you go see?
Doobie Brothers.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Because you'd be like, hey, big guy, Doobie. Guy Doobie for a brother.
Want them to tell me about that episode of What's Happening they were on.
Yeah. Were they really?
Yeah, they did a concert. It was a whole... You never saw this episode? You remember Rerun, everybody? I
remember Rerun, because I used to see Rerun in our neighborhood way back in the day.
What? He lived here?
Yeah, he lived here in this is like the 80s or early 90s.
Ooh.
You would occasionally make Rerun sightings, and he actually still would sometimes dress like Rerun.
Are you making this up?
I'm not at all.
Wow.
I saw him near Mike's. What is that one? Is that the one that's across from Pratt?
Yeah,
I saw him there once.
Cool. If you're telling the truth.
Punched him in the belly. Pulled his pants down.
Well, on the Doobie Brothers episode,
Yep.
It was all about not bootlegging because some crooked guys convinced Rerun to bring a tape recorder into the Doobie Brothers concert.
Why are we talking about this?
It's a classic episode. Everyone
So,
talks
folks,
about it.
a peek behind the scenes. Tim wrote to me this whole extensive email about like, we need to keep our episodes shorter. And he had all these ideas how to do it shorter. So instead, he's talking about the Doobie Brothers on fucking What's Happening.
People know what I'm talking about.
No, they don't.
The tape recorder dropped out and everybody stopped and looked at him like, ooh.
Ooh. What was Rerun doing going to the Doobie Brothers?
I don't remember that part of the plot.
Let's start the episode. All right.
They came to town.
Tim, you have to cut all this out because we need to keep this short as per your new edict.
Well, I don't mind if we talk about whatever.
Let's talk about England.
The movie. Oh, the England. You've got facts for one more episode.
I got some facts. Yeah. Oh. One more episode. We're
old.
putting the capper on. I'm doing just one fact a year since they were founded as the site of Laudanum in the Roman Empire. It's England. It's the home of Ings. England's given a lot to the world. They gave us boiled food. They gave us rampant colonialism. They gave us Pete Best.
Yes.
Yep. They gave us pudding, which no American can figure out what it is because pudding, it's a wide spectrum of things.
Yeah, they got blood pudding.
They got blood pudding. They like sometimes pudding's a bread.
Pig pudding.
Sometimes pudding is like a creamy thing. I've seen pudding be cars. Nobody knows.
Putting on your shoes.
And it. Oh, my God, the power is leaving me. And because this is the capper to our 50 Nifty United States tour, I'm going to mention how they tie in with us. The United States declared independence from them in 1776. But Tim, sometimes saying something isn't enough to make it so. They had to fight a whole goddamn war called the Revolutionary War. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of that war, the United States was born in 1783. Which was 202 years before Labyrinth came out.
True.
Yep.
All the year facts.
The first elevator in England was in 1823.
Is it before America?
Yes. It's actually maybe the first elevator in the world.
Okay.
It was called the Ascending Room. It was actually an attraction in London. It was a hydraulic lift that gave you panoramic views of London.
Was it glass?
Must be. Must have been, at least. It's panoramic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first streetcar in the world's first passenger tram, was the Swansea and Mumbles Railway in Wales, UK, opened in 1807, pulled by horses.
Swansea and Mumbles.
Yep. Isn't that fucking awesome?
That's a comic
It sounds
strip
like if I was
or
making up
show.
something.
Yes.
I know. But like that was true. I'm like, well, cut and paste. And then the cryptid of England. A lot of the folklore that there's so many like goblins. So the Goblin King, the real cryptid, the one not from the movie today, his name is Charles. He's notable for having giant ears, buck teeth, a pronounced nose, and a dead ex-wife. That's the cryptid of England.
And he gets upset when ink gets on his hands.
Yes, he's very imperious. He's a real fucking asshole, it seems.
Is that a fact?
Yep.
Okay.
So this movie that I chose because I wanted to make Tim, if you're a listener to Seddy Bimco, you know that we mention quite often Labyrinth. Not as often as Star Wars, but I've made a point. But Tim would always be like, oh, no, I've never seen that movie. And he was never going to see that movie unless I forced him, so I did. This movie was filmed at Elstree Studios, where a lot of Star Wars was filmed and a lot of Bond films were filmed. The park that the movie opens up is the Wycombe Park Estate in Buckinghamshire, England. And then there's like a brief scene that's when she's running behind some houses that was filmed in West Nyack, New York.
Oh, okay. Did we segue?
No, there's no segue. I just started talking about the movie.
You ramrodded right through the movie.
Where you go with a head like that? George Lucas, creator of the Star Wars saga. The most innovative forces in modern entertainment, David Bowie. Together, they will take.
So the movie is 1986's Labyrinth, directed by Jim Henson, with characters and costumes and sets designed by illustrator Brian Froud. The screenplay, Tim, did you notice, was written by Terry Jones of Monty Python.
I saw that and I got excited, but then I read that most of his material was taken out. I don't know if you read.
I've actually read his original screenplay. There's quite a bit of it's in there, but there's bits that change. And it was executive produced by some young chap named George Lucas. Yeah, he comes up a bit.
I didn't read that part. I'm surprised
Really?
George Lucas
It's right.
was involved.
It's right in the
I had
opening
no
thing.
idea Terry Jones worked on this.
Yep.
All these
And
years.
What else did you not know?
That's about it.
You don't know what pudding is because no American does.
The artist drawings you mentioned, is he the man who did the Elf book that's famous?
Not the Elf book, the Fairies book.
The Fairies book, yes.
He's one of two artists. That book, Fairies, which you probably know even if you don't know it, was designed by it was drawn by Brian Froud and Alan Lee. Alan Lee was the principal designer for the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yes.
He designed all that stuff. He's really awesome artist too. That book was a hugely important book to me as a kid, the Fairies book, because it had boobies in it. My parents would be like, "Hey, George is looking at that fairy book." I'm like, "Yeah, the boobies in this book, boobies everywhere."
Didn't you just have some National Geographic?
No. Well, yeah, there was some National Geographic, but the elf boobies was like elf boobies. Yeah.
I was just.
Yep.
Mine was Rumpelstiltskin. That was, I believe, illustrated by Mr. The most famous black and white sketch artist in the world. And I just blanked on his name. He's a big guy, wore fur coats. He did the opening for Mystery.
I know who it is. I'm not going to tell you. Should I tell you? It's Edward Gorey. I'm tired of you doing your mystery trick because it never works. If you were a new listener, Tim has the ability to remember no more than 3 names at a time. And basically that's producer Mrs. Lee, his dog Soul, and sometimes me and sometimes Cablasto, depending who's on. Yes. Everyone else is a mystery. And Mark Twain. Yeah. So the movie opens up with a TriStar logo, which is a Pegasus running at the screen.
Oh, I love that
Tim,
logo.
I wanted to ask you, did that scare you? Did you dive out of your seat and take cover? You're like, oh, horse coming at me.
A flying horse.
It's got wings now. It is shocking to see like that though when we watch, because we watched some real Drek with Seddy Bimco. So when we see like an actual recognizable studio logo, I always get oddly excited. I'm like, oh, a real movie.
Yes, not just some synthesizer and
not to say there isn't some great synthesizer music in this movie as provided by Trevor, no relation to David Bowie Jones.
This is the highlight of the 80s, George. This is Nina Blackwood and Mark Goodman, MTV. This movie's very MTV.
It is, yeah.
Very MTV.
And I'm also going to tell you this. So this movie is, I talk about it a lot, but this movie is a very important movie for me. It's a very important movie for my wife. It's actually, if you ask my wife, you go, "Hey, wife of George." And she will say, "Yes, I prefer you call me by my name." I say, "Yeah, but I'm not going to say it on the podcast because, my crazy fan." She goes, "Understand." I go, "Wife of George, what's your favorite movie?" She would, without hesitation, say Labyrinth.
Wow. And
this movie, she and I have both shared. This movie marked for both of us our sexual awakenings as children.
Ouch.
For me, and I will say, well, it's not good now. If I had it now, but Jennifer Connelly is older than me and was older than me when this movie came out. So to me, when I first saw this movie, I'm like, who is this ravishing old woman? She's hot. And I still have a crush on her. Have I ever told on this podcast the story? I've had many interactions with her in my time as a bookseller. Bonus episode. She's partially responsible for me doing the series Olympians. Yeah. But so Jennifer Connelly, I was like, I love this woman. And like, honestly, you look back at my early girlfriends, like you could all see their variations on Jennifer Connelly. She looks in this movie. And for my wife, not only was Jennifer Connelly someone she was like, that lady's super pretty, but David Bowie, good Lord.
Yeah.
He's some hot stuff in this movie.
He is.
Spoilers, David Bowie's in this. And we're not talking the guy from fucking UHF.
My sexual awakening was the cartoon of Carol Burnett when she's a cartoon character sweeping up after her show is over. So you could look back at all the girls I dated. They look like cartoon characters.
They look like Carol Burnett. I don't think you're even lying about that. I think it's true.
I'm not.
So this movie is noteworthy because it opens up after the TriStar logo that made Tim die behind his couch and hide. We see a CGI owl, and this is always
I want to
credited
talk about this because, wow, this is 1986.
Early, 86. This is credited as being the first realistic CGI character on film.
Interesting. I was shocked.
Supers. Yeah.
Because Rage before that, the
only other CGI character...
It's not, I know it's not CG, but it was super... Whatever, they did an extra to it, right, for the stop motion flying owl, or is it just stop motion?
I think it's just stop motion, but they are very similar. Budo, the owl from Clash of Titans. Mm-hmm. I think the only CGI character I was aware of before this was the stained glass knight that comes alive in Young Sherlock Holmes.
That's right, that too.
Yep. But this is the first time they did a quote unquote realistic. It doesn't quite hold up now, but
no.
And we get our first. Yeah. Well, you would redo it. Like George Lucas. He's like, let me redo my movies over and over again. That's my George Lucas imitation. We got our first David Bowie song.
I've never seen this film, so I'll just save my opinion for the end. So stick around for Tim's opinion on Labyrinth.
Well,
Give me my honest opinion.
I'm curious here. Like, I was going to try to invite my wife on for this, and she's like, she thought about it for a second, and by second, like a few days, and she was ultimately like, I don't think I could sit there and hear what Tim's going to say about this movie. I think I'll get mad. I'm like, yeah, I welcome to my world every week.
Every week, come on. It's a lovely back and forth.
I do think it is remarkably consistent. If you don't like a movie, I love it, and vice versa.
I don't know. We both like some movies. Didn't we both like Confederate cannibals?
No, I don't think I cared for that. You liked it because you got to say blind Ayumi over and over again.
Yes.
You like objectifying
I'm sure
people
we both liked Chud. Come on, we both enjoyed it.
Okay, Chud. All right, Chud. We go back to Chud to get the first. All right. So we see young Jennifer Connelly. She's like 16 at the time of this. Remember, folks, I was like maybe 12 or 13 at this point. So I'm like, wow, she's old and pretty. She looks like a child in this now. It's very disturbing. But it's weird because I remember looking at her and being like that was my feminine ideal creator right then. It's troubling, Tim. It's troubling.
It is. I know.
And she's like LARPing in a park. She's talking to the owl that is now a live action. And she reads this line. My will is as strong as yours, and my kingdom is as great. She's reciting from a book called The Labyrinth. And she's like, I forgot the next line. I can never remember the next line. That's important for later, folks. Then it starts raining, and she runs home with her stupid dog, Merlin. And,
Merlin. She tried some other names for this dog, Merlin.
Oh, is this the first list?
No, it's just.
Oh. What are the names?
She almost named him Alakazam.
Okay. All right,
almost named him Abracadabra.
What else?
And
this
almost
is
named
a
him
list.
Mr. Mistopheles.
That's
it. I just had to say that. It's not even a list.
I invoked Mr. Mistopheles the other day. Like, is he entering the Seddy lexicon now? All right.
Him and Lady Gaga.
So she gets home, young Sarah, and we see her home life. She has a stepmother. She lives with her dad in a giant house, and she has a little shitty half brother named Toby.
They shoved the dog into the garage, by the way. I didn't like that.
That was not cool, right?
No.
There's a lot of evidence that her dad sucks.
Well, here's my first.
Your second list?
No, complaint.
Oh, complaint.
We needed to get to know her parents. We see them 30 seconds each. I don't know. Nothing about them.
There is some interesting stuff that I was aware of. Like, I don't remember if this is from reading old scripts. Because I love this movie. I've seen it so many times. Okay. There is a lot more information I knew that I'm like, oh, this isn't in the film. Like, we go into... So Sarah had to run home to babysit her half-brother Toby, played by Toby Froud, actual child of Brian Froud. And we see her room, and there's all these cool little hints, like the way... like
there's fantasy stuff.
Fantasy stuff. We see like Wizard of Oz. We see Alice in Wonderland, where
Watchmen,
the wild things are. No, Watchmen didn't come out yet, or Dark Knight. So Tim,
I believe it did.
No, I think the movie was filmed in '85. You jerk. There's different toys that look like characters will meet. And there's also like a scrapbook we see of like all these Broadway plays and stuff. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that.
And there's some headshots on the wall. I guess it's from the original script. Her mom, her real mom, Sarah's mom, is an actor on Broadway.
Oh, and she die on stage?
No, she just doesn't. She lives in New York City without her, and she has to live with her dad and her shitty. But she worships her mom from afar. All that's not in the movie anymore, except for like unless you're watching with someone like me who's pointing these details out to you.
And is she practicing for a play? Is that why she's doing this?
Well, she's acting because she likes to be like her mom.
But
it's
not for a play. Okay,
not for a play because as they mentioned, she has no friends.
See, okay, I kind of
just watching this before with my wife. I was like, I would have been a friend. I was imitating 12-year-old George being like, hey, Jennifer Connelly, hey, I'll be a friend. It would have been sad.
It would have been.
Tim, you actually just saw pictures of me as a young person just this past weekend.
Oh.
Do you think high school era George would have had a chance with slightly older than she's in this movie, Jennifer Connelly?
I don't know what Jennifer's into because your pictures
Paul Bettany. She's into Paul Bettany.
You were like Jesus.
I did. Yes, folks. I used to look like Jesus.
Needed some
right down
sandals.
to having a pretty bad case of stigmata that just didn't clear up until I took Oxy 10. So she's left home with this baby, and
she's angry because she's
so angry. She's such a brat.
She's very much a brat. She's mad at everything. Everything.
Mad at everything.
She's mad that Reagan is president. She's mad
that's good.
The Challenger blew up on takeoff.
Hasn't happened yet, but should be.
She's mad that Cocoon only won 2 Oscars.
Oh,
it happened in '86, George.
Man, I know
Challenger.
Tim.
Cocoon.
I have to start choosing movies that exist in a cultural bubble that you have nothing to associate with, but I don't know how to do that. So she yells. The baby's crying because the baby's a little shit, and she's a little shit. And she yells at the baby, and she says something to the baby, and all of a sudden we see these little fucking goblins.
Okay.
Like,
well, you missed something, George. That this baby stole Sir Lancelot, her doll, somehow.
Oh, I forgot. You're right. That is kind of important. Sir Lancelot's her bear. Oh, I actually know, Tim.
You read the book, right?
The stepmom took it and gave it to the baby.
Okay.
Someone's been in my room, and she goes in. She's so mad because her precious bear, Sir Lancelot's in with her shitty little brother, half brother.
I thought the baby was supposed to take that.
No, that baby can't do shit. That baby's just pooping on himself. Stupid baby.
Oh yeah, a whole movie that baby did not poop, or it did,
or David Bowie did magic on it, put glamour on it. So we see these but this close up all these Brian Froud goblins. They're like, say the right words, and you're like, wait, what? Is this going to be some sort of mystical movie? And as she leaves the room, she's slamming the door. She puts the baby in the crib. She turns around in a very naturalistic way, not the heightened language she was using. She goes, I wish the goblins would come and take you away. ...
Yeah.
Right now. And then it's immediately quiet. Lights go out. It's kind of a cool, scary movie scene. You have to admit, Tim.
It is.
Yep.
It's okay.
Little things are scurrying around.
Was that line in her book?
No.
Okay. So again, my second, maybe I should keep it to the end. But again, a man should have shown up and been a real estate guy, and he's like, I'm sorry, I built your house on an ancient goblin burial ground. Something. Why are there goblins near her house? But I didn't hate it. I just have questions.
Tim.
Just have questions.
Tim. My wife was right not to be in this show.
I liked it.
Yep.
But I had questions like that.
So there's a scene where all these little things are scurrying about. It's all scary. There's a salesman outside goes, I probably should have warned them that we built this on a ferry crossing. But he doesn't come into the movie in time. And then it's kind of cool. And then the owl's at the window, beating at the window, and it flies in and becomes glitter David Bowie.
Yep.
And he's looking awesome. He's got this teased up hair. He's got on some Grace Jones style makeup. Mm-hmm. And he goes, go back to your room, Sarah, and play with your toys and costumes. Because he's the Goblin King, Jareth.
Yeah.
Thank you. He's Jareth the Goblin King. And she said the right words. I wish you would come and take me away right now. So he's going to keep Toby. And she's like, I need to get my brother back. And he's doing this cool thing with his hands where he's moving a crystal ball in it.
But it's
Did you read about that, Tim?
Yep, I've seen the film clip. It's someone behind him.
The guy's name, too, it just needs to be mentioned. His name is Michael Motion. His name is Michael Motion, and he's good at moving things.
He was born with that name.
Just
he's like, I guess I know what I'm doing.
He goes, well, you have two things. You could do things with your hands or walk. So basically, they work out a Faustian deal where super hot David Bowie's like, you have 13 hours to save Toby. Toby is kept at the middle of the titular labyrinth.
As soon as she walks out her window, it's there, right? It's like she's
weird. She walks out a window. Did she walk out a window?
I thought she did.
He points at the window, right? I don't remember how. I've seen this movie 20 times. I can't remember how they transition.
My second. Anyway.
Your third complaint. Let's hear it.
Not complaint. He never says what he wants this baby for, does he? Eat it?
No, you were writing to me about it. Well, so Tim's mind went immediately to eating. I did mention it to my wife, and she's like, well, the kid's going to become a goblin, clearly.
I see.
And as a fan of folklore, I know it was a popular belief that goblins would kidnap your kids and raise them as their own. And in fact, one of the big inspirations to this movie is the Marie Sendak book, Outside Over There, where that's exactly what happens. The girl, Ida, has to go find her baby brother who's been kidnapped by goblins, and the goblins are turning him into a goblin. So
it's like the movie Elf.
Or it's like
except
what
that's
if
funny.
Elf is the sequel? What if the Elf is the sequel to this?
Could be.
Think about it. Toby the baby has red and white striped little bathing suit, like bodysuit on, Elf has red and white striped socks.
Nice. Could be.
Yep.
Except that movie has a totally different plot. But
well, most sequels are different than the first movie.
Yes.
Albeit not enough, perhaps. So she's walking through this she's at this labyrinth trying to even find a way in. She's walking for a long time. She can't even find an entrance.
She even runs.
Because she's a total brat, she runs, which is funny. Because, like, you know.
Why is that funny? Explain.
Well, it's funny because I said to my wife, like, abhors cardio in any way. Okay. I said, if this was you instead of Sarah, you would have given up already because you had to run lightly. And she's like, this is true. And she meets the first of our companions, Hoggle, a.k.a. RFK Jr.
Who they also call Hogwarts. I'm like, what? Hey.
I know. And I watching at home, J.K. Rowling looked up from whatever book of hate speech she was composing, goes, yes. I'll use that name later. We meet Hoggle, a.k.a. RFK Jr., pissing into a pond and killing fairies with poison spray.
I didn't like seeing a Muppet pee. Did you?
I loved it.
That means Muppets poop. Think of
it does.
The fur problems.
Yep. I mean, Fozzie Bear is a bear. You know he shits in the woods.
No, Muppets don't poop.
Yeah, they poop. They poop. Miss Piggy rolls around in it when they put her in her sty.
That's not true. That's
all
impossible.
True. Yeah. So Hoggle is kind of a dick to her. He does look like RFK Jr. Look him up, everybody.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's upsetting. It's upsetting. He is a tanned, leathery goblin monster who kills innocent fairies and is first seen pissing and washing his hands. I'm like, that all tracks.
It's not Kenny Baker or Billy Barty. I read.
Did you see Kenny Baker is in this movie? I'll get to that later.
Okay. I missed it.
Yeah, you did.
He's killed 60 fairies, by the way.
Yeah, it's a pretty high number. He's real, and he also chainsaws the head off a beached whale, yes. And he drags a dead bear into Central Park and leaves it there. And also, he's killing millions of Americans because he doesn't believe in vaccinations. Hoggle's a great monster.
He is.
He shows her the way in, and she goes, "Thanks for nothing, Hogwart." And he's like, "It's Hoggle." And so she's walking down a bit, and she encounters this little worm. This worm's important for my story.
Because it escaped from his head? Is that what you're saying? Huh?
It's the worm from her. It says, "Hello, I just crawled out of RFK Jr.'s head. I did."
It's a British worm.
It's a little British worm. He keeps coming in. Come on in, have some tea, beat the missus. It's a worm. I don't know how she would get in. I kind of wish she had. I want to see how she gets in to meet the missus. I want to see what a worm's wife looks like. What if the worm's wife is super hot like Roger Rabbit's wife?
Maybe the worm's wife is an apple.
Maybe.
A very disturbed worm.
It's just, that's sad. It's sad, right? So he tells her like the secret. Yeah. Some of the entrances in the labyrinth are hidden. It's like, she goes, "Oh, thanks. You're so incredibly helpful." And she starts walking. And he goes, "Oh, wait, don't go that way." And she goes, "Oh, thanks." And she runs back the other way. And then the after she's out of sight, the little worm spikes the camera and goes, "If she'd kept going down that way, she'd have gone straight to the castle." No. And at home, Tim, I imagine you punched the screen in rage.
Like, damn it.
Tim's always like, "It could have been a 15-minute movie. I'm so angry." And then he remembered the tri-store horse and he hid behind his couch again for 20 minutes. "Producer Miss Lee, is the horse gone?"
Love that horse.
Yep. And then we have the second.
This is
David
like Alice in
Bowie
Wonderland.
music.
I like to point out. I was keeping track.
It's very Alice in Wonderland. Yes. It's very Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah,
you're always bringing up Wizard of Oz, and yep.
I'm just saying the worm, like the caterpillar. Sorry.
There's a few scenes that are like that. I'm like, these could have been in a draft of Alice in Wonderland that just got edited out. Like the worm is definitely one of those. This is not so much. David Bowie sings the song "Dance Magic Dance," where he's singing with the. This is the first time we really get a view of the Bowie bulge.
I don't know why they did that. That was an active choice.
It's an active choice. And if you've ever been like, I wonder what David Bowie's penis looks like, just watch this movie.
Yes.
Because he's wearing these semi-sheer tights and his dick, there's close-ups. Like it's not just like, you're not just getting a general hint. Like you could see like literally, you can see space between balls and leg. You could see him like, oh, David Bowie's is uncut. You could see to that level.
And this movie seems to be a kids movie, young teen movie.
It's definitely a growing up movie. Yeah. I think it's like a coming of age movie. That's what they call this.
Because you see him up at pee.
You see him up at pee. You don't see its lumpy Muppet dick though.
not in this version.
Dance Magic Dance, pretty good song, I would have to say. Bowie's throwing. You're gonna diss David Bowie. You're gonna diss David Bowie.
It's a few notes off from Let's Dance.
Bowie.
I listened to it. I was like, take one note out of this. It's Let's Dance.
Tim, how many songs have you written that were featured in movies?
Hey, I like all his songs. I'm just saying these This was like, I had to get this out quick for this movie.
Yep.
Everybody does it.
Yep. Fun fact, you know about that song? You know how the little baby sings little verses? It goes like blah, 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 and the baby says, and there's like little baby noises.
No.
Okay, the song goes, dance, dance, magic, dance, dance. And he goes, and there's always line, and the baby says, you hear like the baby make cooing noises.
I did not hear that. What?
It caps off each verse, Tim. Well, anyway, it does. For listeners at home, the baby noises are all David Bowie. I saw an interview he was revealing. It's only why would you hear something that's actually repeated 3 times in the song and ends each verse? Like, why would you notice that?
I was writing. He's throwing this baby around, and it's a dummy, and I love that.
Oh, I loved it. I love he's throwing that baby up in the air and walking away, and like other goblins catch it. The goblins are all little puppets. David Bowie's the Goblin King. He's David Bowie. The only thing unusual about David Bowie is he has like, teased out hair and
hair.
Fully visible bulge in every scene after this point. This is intercut with scenes of Sarah navigating the labyrinth, and which I think is super clever. She takes lipstick out of her pocket and is writing arrows which way to go. But like these little fucking gremlins come out and are like turning the arrows the wrong way and stuff.
You're being nice. I think they're super racist Italian stereotypes that jump up and complain. They
are kind of. They say, when I was like, yeah, mother's a freaking. We're like, wait, we were trying to listen. We're like, what does he say? Your mother's a freaking what? Yeah. And
I have a note that at least she's starting to do something because she's kind of like, where am I? Help me. What am I doing?
Yeah.
So,
well, that's very much the point of this movie. At first, she's a little brat who keeps saying it's unfair.
Yeah.
And eventually, even David Bowie calls her and is like, you say that word a lot, Sarah. I wonder if you know what it means. But she's learning stuff here. And she even realizes it because then she comes up to these 2 door guys. And they're like playing cards. They have heads on the top and heads on the bottom. And one of them only tells Wait, Wonder Man?
Alice in Wonderland, I'm saying.
Oh, Alice in Wonderland. Very Alice in Wonderland. Yep. One of the doors only tells lies, and one of the doors only tells
the
truths. And she asks one of the doors, what would he tell me to do? Oh, and the one door leads to the center of the labyrinth, and one door leads to death.
Yes.
And sometimes I could figure this out, Tim, and I could not today. But I swear in the past I've figured out she was right.
You've explained this?
Like, it's like she asks one door, what would he tell me? And they say, open this door. I don't know. She goes through the door.
Well, the door with the orange face, that one always lies.
Is that Oh, I see what you're saying. and he shits his pants constantly.
He does.
Yeah, he smells bad. That's many accounts say that. She turns to the door. She goes, I think I'm getting smarter. And she immediately plummets down a hole.
And I love this hole. It's very Mum and Chance. You know
Tim
what Mum and Chance is?
Yeah, I know what Mum and Chance is. And, Tim, can you explain to listeners who are not 50 like you and I what Mum and Chance are?
Well, they were this troupe of, I would say, advanced mimes, and they had clay on their face, and they'd form each other's faces into smiles and frowns as they played out a little melodrama. Their ads used to be on Channel 11.
It wasn't clay. It was like felt.
Sometimes clay. They did many different things.
Basically, these are the helping hands, and it's all puppeteers' hands just wearing like gloves, and they kind of make little hands with their faces. It's very clever puppet work.
They make faces. Yep. Faces with the hands.
And they're holding her at the same time, so there's like thousands of hands. They're grabbing Jennifer Connelly.
That was a lot. I didn't think about that too closely.
No. When I was a kid, I did. Now I'm like, don't think about it too much. And they ask her, well, which way do you want to go? And she goes, well, I'm already pointing down, which she wasn't. She was actually being held upright. So they bring her down, and they drop her into what we learn, a word for me, an oubliette.
An oubliette.
Yep.
They drop her into oubliette?
Yep.
I don't remember that.
They say it like 20 times because this becomes a point. Because Hoggle's in the oubliette. And well, first, David Bowie's watching in his magic crystal. Mm-hmm. And he goes, she's in the oubliette. She should never have gotten this far. Oh, well, I'll send the dwarf back to get her.
And again, I would like to have a few rules. I don't, like at one point, David Bowie just cuts her time down by pushing the clock forward. Yeah. Like, well, why not click it all the way? Why not win? I realize at the end, she realizes you have no power over me, but
Tim, spoilers.
He had some power. Oh, everybody's seen this movie.
You hadn't.
Anyway.
So Hoggle appears, the dwarf, to lead her back to the beginning as per Jareth's commands. And Sarah's all suspicious of him, but she bribes him with some costume jewelry she has on to take her as far as she can into the labyrinth. Yeah.
It's plastic.
And he goes to this, he goes to this, plastic is, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a labyrinth. It wouldn't be plastic. Yeah. and he opens this door one way, it's a closet, and he closes it, and it hinges the other way, and it's a way out. Mm-hmm. They go through this this corridor of things called false alarms, or these stone faces who say like, beware.
Yes.
Beware. This is very Monty Python, I thought.
Yeah.
That
might be a part that Terry Jones got left in.
Yeah. And then the crystal ball comes rolling by, and it becomes Jareth. And Bowie threatens Hoggle with the bog of eternal stench. And there is a close-up where Hoggle's face is right. It's the camera. It's just Hoggle's face and David Bowie's bulge as Hoggle's begging for mercy.
Yes.
Like, please, no, not the bog of eternal stench. I'm like, what is going on? I feel like Jim Henson was just like, I think he had a crush on David Bowie.
Well, who wouldn't?
I think Jim Bowie. He was in the Alamo. I think Jim Henson fucked a lot. I think he was like, yeah. And this is when Bowie actually calls her on. She goes again, that's not fair. Because this is when he does the time thing. And he goes, you say that so often, Sarah.
Can I say I don't love Hogwarts? He's my least favorite Muppet in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, Hoggle's a shit. He's a little pile of shit.
No, I mean his looks. I'm like, I don't like.
Oh, really?
Either be funny, cute, furry. He's the guy. What's the other movie?
Dark Crystal.
There's no people in that, right? I remember there's just two.
There's no people, just gelflings.
I was disturbed by that movie because you had to have those two characters that tried to look human for your avatar in the movie. And I remember I was like, I don't like this.
It was too uncanny valley for you?
Yeah. I don't like.
And plus now he looks like RFK Jr., a man who's going to make. Thanks, Measles, making a comeback. You're doing great, RFK Jr.
I think all the fairies chewed up his face though in this movie.
That's why he's killing them all. There's a scene where they're chased by these whirling knives down a corridor, and they escape and they exit into a garden.
There's the cleaning thing. That was pretty cool. I like
the cleaners. That was cool, right? It's just two guys riding a bicycle.
When it went by, that was a good surprise.
Yeah. Were you shocked?
Yeah.
What were you more shocked by, that or the tri-store horse running at you?
Tri-store horse was still shocking me. Still remembering it.
Producer Miss Lee had to bring you some ice water and give you some smelling salts to calm down. About this time, because now Sarah's like, I don't know if I could trust you or not, Hoggle, because Hoggle had told Jareth that he was going to lead her back to the beginning, but he told her he was leading to the center. She's like, you're full of lies. Mm-hmm. So she steals his little bag of jewels and she holds him ransom.
Ooh,
they talk to it.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Grabbing his jewels. You know what I'm saying? I just figured you were going to go there.
No. You should we explain this? No. They meet an old guy who has a bird hat, and like the bird hat and him fight.
I liked him.
I liked him too. I like when the bird goes, "It's so stimulating being your hat."
Yes.
When he falls asleep in conversation. Yep. And this is Hoggle is kind of, even though Tim hates him, and Hoggle is a little bit of shit.
Yeah.
But he's like, I ain't never been no one's friend before. And then immediately like goblins attack, they hear a scary noise, and Hoggle runs off saying, Hoggle only looks after himself, because Hoggle, he's a Republican.
They're screaming, yes, he is.
Yeah, he's a. And so this scene always, I remember this very much disturbing me. There's these goblins with like these like larvae with giant teeth, like these creatures that look like baby mole rats, and they're on sticks, and they're attacking this giant hairy guy who's hanging from a tree. This is Ludo.
He looks upside. He looks like an orangutan from the Jungle Book. I thought.
I felt like
hanging upside down.
He does a little bit. He's very big. If you want to see a picture of him, type in Ludo, Prince Charles, and Princess Diana, because there's a hilarious photo of him meeting the two of them at the premiere of this film.
I have no idea if you're making that up.
No, look it up. It's great. Look it up right now. Actually, it's funny. The goblins are calling him a hippie, which I thought Tim would be excited about.
That's weird. Yeah. Hippies in this land.
Yeah. And Ludo has the ability when he goes, oh, and rocks come to him.
True.
And so Sarah picks up the rocks and is pelting these goblins with the stones, and eventually scares them away. And she
knocks her helmet sideways, and they can't see, and they run away.
Yeah, and then they keep biting each other's butts with their larvae, and then
with their larvae, yeah,
yeah, larvae.
And she lets this guy down. He's like a big Chewbacca. It's like Star Wars.
I feel like I feel like Jim Henson looked at Chewbacca. He's like, "That's pretty good, George, but I'm gonna go you one better." It's like, yeah, it's an impressive. You have to admit that's an impressive costume.
Oh yeah, all the Muppets are impressive. Yeah. I like all the Muppets.
All of the Muppets except for Hoggle.
He's my least favorite.
Yeah, You'll be happy. Remind me at the end of this podcast to tell you the final fate of Hoggle.
Okay.
This is true life story. This isn't revenge.
True?
Yeah.
I think you're making this stuff up.
No, Tim, this movie, I know so much about this movie. They come to these two door knockers. Hoggle's gone at this point because he ran off as a coward. So it's Ludo and Sarah. They come to these two door knockers. One has a knocker in its ears. One has a knocker in its mouth. It's a funny little bit where one can't hear, one can't talk. She goes through the hole. They go into another realm. Ludo falls down a hole. So now it's just
Jennifer.
Sarah Connolly.
She's in the woods. And who shows up then? Your notes are like out of sync with mine.
We get a cool shot where there's like a forced perspective where there's 3 rocks that look like David Bowie's face. And Hoggle's running to help Sarah because he hears her calling for help after Ludo falls down the hole. But then David Bowie and his enormous bulge appear. And he takes his crystal ball that he's always doing the Michael motion things with, and he turns into a peach. And he gives it to Hoggle and says, "Give it to Sarah." Yes. And Hoggle's like, "It's not going to hurt her, is it? I won't do anything to hurt her." And he goes, "No, it won't." But he says, "If she kisses you, I'll make you a prince." And Hoggle's like, "Really?" He goes, "Yes, a prince of never-ending stench." And Hoggle's like, "Oh." So now we have the musical number with these creatures called the Fireys, who are like these like red, scary monsters.
Oh, yeah, I like them. You can tell they're not on the same screen with them, and I like that.
It's bad compositing, yeah.
But I liked it. Like it was like a episode of Sesame Street. I like this.
It is. And speaking of Sesame Street, did you catch that one of the voices is straight up Elmo?
No.
One of them is puppeteered by Kevin Clash, who eventually would do the voice of Elmo. But I think in '86, Elmo wasn't quite the thing.
No.
So one of the Fireys is just Elmo.
Nice.
And the Fireys, they have this whole song and dance number, and they can dismember themselves. And this is another sequence I feel is super
weird.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, the heads come
because they have that menacing. They're being innocent, but they want to pull off Sarah's head because they can pull themselves apart and reassemble in different ways.
And you can totally tell it's people behind them lifting their heads up, like walking around in black.
And Sarah gets away from them. She grabs their heads and throws them, so they're all headless for a bit. And they're running after her in the woods, chasing her, and be like, "Hey, you can't throw other people's heads. That's against the rule. Now we got to throw your head." And they're trying to rip her head off.
It's a nightmare.
And it's scary.
She climbs up on a wall because Luddo's up there, right? Is it Luddo?
No, Hoggle, actually. Hoggle saves her.
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I'm calling him Hogwarts.
Higgle. Hog testicle. He saves her. And then she goes, "Oh, Hoggle, thank you." And she gives him a little kiss.
Oof.
On his cheek.
He must taste terrible.
Oh, man, he must. I mean, can you imagine kissing RFK Jr.?
Yeah, no.
How does the woman from Curb Your Enthusiasm do that every night?
Oof. I don't think she does.
I think she does. I think she's a bad person. So she kisses him. And of course, you remember what Bowie said. "I'll make you the Prince of Eternal Stench." So immediately transported to the Bog of Eternal Stench.
They're hanging
which looks
over
like, it looks like a bunch of anuses. And it's just farting constantly.
I read some facts about this movie, George.
Let's hear.
Jennifer Connelly, she did all those fart noises for this. I don't know if you know that.
Tim, I have a question. Was she using her mouth, or was that her actual?
No,
was her
actual farts. She was doing that.
I heard that the movie went over budget because of all the Taco Bell she had to eat. When she do that.
It did. Almost.
We're a good podcast. So they're hanging above like this cliff and the Bog of Eternal Stench. They finally fall off and they land on Ludo, who's conveniently there.
That's right, Ludo.
Then we meet the final member of the party, Sir Didymus.
He's the guy guarding the little bridge.
Yeah, he's a little fox.
He's my favorite puppet. I don't know what he was. One of my favorites.
He's a fox riding a dog that looks just like her dog from the beginning. But
and they
now
never
instead
mention
of Merlin.
She's not like, "Merlin, you're here." No. Just like Toto.
And Merlin amusing. No, it's not. His name is Ambrosius, the new dog. But it's the same dog. And Ambrosius switches between scenes of being a real dog and being a Muppet.
Yes, I could tell.
Tim, I had to point that out to my wife. She had never noticed before. I'm like, she's like, "What?" I'm like, I ruined the movie for her. I feel like we're going to, it was rough.
Well, I watched, you ever look at YouTube clips of Superman 2?
No.
Because
I've seen Superman 2 a lot, but.
They edited it very well, and they didn't know we'd be able to examine it. But in the Fortress of Solitude, when Superman gets his powers back, just go look at a scene of him holding them up. You can tell you can just tell They're dummies.
You're talking about the scene when everybody has lost their powers, but Superman gets his powers back.
Sorry, and he
throws General
Non.
Zod and Non and Ursa.
Any close-up of him holding them, you could tell they're dummies.
Really?
They did a good job, but yeah, he's holding dummies up in the air so many times.
Why do you mention this here?
Is there a dummy? It cracks me up.
Okay. But what does it have to do with this?
We were talking about... what were we talking?
Don't know.
The listeners know.
No,
the
they
listeners
don't.
know.
There's
I
no
was talking
dummies
how
in
I
this
like
part.
these edits. I love dummies.
Okay. So Sir Didymus, who is a fox riding a dog, they have a fight with him and Ludo. It's pretty funny. Ludo keeps... This is my Ludo impersonation. You ready? Because, we didn't mention what the Bog of Eternal Stench is. If you put even 1 foot in the Bog of Eternal Stench, you will stink for all time.
Yes.
Which is pretty nightmarish.
That is nightmarish.
So that's the stakes they're doing here. If they even trip once, they're going to stink forever. But you know what? If that happened to Jennifer Connelly, like little 13-year-old George would be like, it's okay, Jennifer Connelly. I still love you. I still have you very smelly. That would have been my in, actually.
It would have.
So here's my vision. Here's my version of Ludo throughout this scene.
I don't think you know how bad that she might smell, though.
Yeah, it's Jennifer Connelly. Here's my impression of Ludo. You ready?
Okay.
Smell bad. He keeps saying that.
I know. He was good.
As they do the fight, Hoggle runs off again because he's a coward and he sucks. They befriend Sir Didymus because he says, "Never have I met my match in battle, Sir Ludo. You and I are brothers." And he joins their group, but Hoggle's not there because Hoggle sucks. They're crossing a bridge. The bridge breaks.
Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly's about to fall in. 13-year-old George is like, oh, boy, here's my in. But Ludo uses his rock singing powers to make rocks roll into the water so she can step into. But
Wouldn't
Tim,
you know it? What?
Those rocks get wet. When she puts her
touched it.
feet
I
down,
know.
they're wet. They're still wet. So maybe her shoes smell forever. Okay, throw out the shoes.
She threw her shoes away.
But like Ludo's nude. He's walking around on his feet. Like, does he just stink forever? Like slightly?
This is the plot of the hole you're going to talk about?
Yeah.
About
Okay. There's no other plot holes. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Now we have Ludo,
who says,
now we have
rocks, friends.
And we have a fox with a dog.
Uh-huh.
And we have the girl.
And we have David Bowie and his bulge.
So now people know what's in this movie. I could ask you the question, George. How is this movie like The Wizard of Oz?
I know exactly how.
I have 3 ways, but you go. Give me one. You have 3 ways?
Because while the movie is being filmed, a little person, a.k.a. Hoggle, hung himself in the background. That's how Hoggle dies.
That did not happen.
No, if you look, you can see his silhouette.
One way this is like The Wizard of Oz. The Tin Man, he wanted to show off his gear shaft like Bowie did, but they didn't allow that kind of thing back then. The dog in The Wizard of Oz and the dog in this movie, they're both
Toto
dead.
and Ambrosius.
They're both dead
Toto
now.
Ambrosius. Yeah, they're both dead now. Oh, whoa. That's my line.
You're making jokes. Giving you the sad line. And thirdly, both Ludo and the Cowardly Lion ruined many a shot in this movie because they were always licking their balls. So there you go.
And then there were scenes where Ludo was licking David Bowie's balls.
Yes, might have been.
Yeah.
The 4K.
So,
do you
Hoggle
own a 4K
comes back.
of this, by the way, with interviews? Is there one?
Probably.
Well, you know that because you would see interviews with people like Terry Jones or.
Here's the. I definitely had this on at least DVD, and I think my wife has a separate copy.
Okay.
But I just streamed on Disney Plus this time.
Nice.
But I also spend a lot of time watching
Nice.
Labyrinth documentaries and stuff.
Okay.
Tim, one time the Labyrinth was playing at Alamo Drafthouse as a sing-along version sort of thing where you yell stuff at the screen.
Nice.
My wife and I showed up in costume. She dressed up
seen
as
the
the
pictures.
worm.
You're not
lying.
lying.
And I dressed up as Toby. Yeah,
She was the worm? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember
Hello.
you as Toby.
Yeah.
Did she talk like that all night? Hello.
Yeah, she did. Hello. Come and have some tea. Meet the missus. And I spoke like Toby all night. I mean, I just made gurgling noises.
That must have been fun for everybody.
Everybody loves seeing a full-grown man dressed up as a baby in public.
I know the most annoying costume because I knew some people long ago. Wasn't me. They dressed up as
Sounds like it
old
was Tim.
people. They put the lines on their face and everything. They knew how to do makeup. They made their hair gray. But at the party, they never got out of character. So when they went up the steps, they walk really slow. Didn't matter if there's people behind them or at them. They were doing the whole shtick.
Did you eventually push them down the stairs and break their hips?
Maybe somebody did. He should have fallen halfway through the party and said, "Oh, my hip." And just laid there.
Just laid there. You can set. So back in the movie, Hoggle rejoins them again, and he's even going to throw away the crystal, which is in the form of a peach that David Bowie gave him. But Bowie's always watching. He goes, "Hoggle, don't do it."
Yeah.
So instead, they're walking around, and Sarah's like, "I'm so hungry," and he's like, "Here, Sarah." Hoggle gives the peach to Sarah, and he says, "Dab you, Jareth, and dab me too." And Hoggle runs off again because this whole movie is Hoggle running off.
Hoggle runs off.
Sarah takes a bite of the peach. She goes, "I feel funny." And she falls asleep, and then she has a sexy Dreamtime dance with David Bowie. It's
like in a crystal ball.
Yeah, it's like a weird Venetian ball. There's all people wearing masks.
It's like Star Trek Generations, for those that saw it, when Captain Kirk and Picard end up in the, what's it called? The Matrix? It's kind of the Matrix. It's called something else.
Really?
You never saw
seen that movie, and I've seen that movie. I don't remember shit of any. I'm put more in the mind of something like Eyes Wide Shut. It's a Venetian ball.
Yeah, I don't get that. But a Venetian
They're wearing
ball.
fucking masks. Good Lord.
Well, I'm talking about the crystal ball because she's in a crystal ball. She floats away.
Yeah,
in the movie, people.
Well, it's she's dressed up in this like beautiful gown, but she looks so. This is when it's like she's a 16-year-old Bowie. I did the math. He's 39. It's like this isn't good. They have this kind of sexy dance, and then she eventually realizes they have sex. You see Hoggle's body hanging in the background. Yeah, no, it's innocent. It's like, because this is a coming of age movie. It's like the young woman discovering her sexuality, and she's imprinting on David Bowie, as young women do. But she grabs the crystal and throws it at a mirror and breaks the mirror, and everyone goes flying through the air. And then she lands in a junkyard.
Joe, I just want to say I imprint on David Bowie too when I was young.
Well, why not? Who didn't?
So anyway,
the reason our world is so shitty right now is David Bowie is dead, and there's other people who are still alive.
Yeah.
So she lands on the back of this. Well, first she lands on the back of the junk collector lady, who takes her back to her room. And this junk collector lady, she's a little tiny lady covered with like all sorts of stuff that had been thrown away.
She's a good like Muppet too.
Yeah, she is. There was a scene I was admiring where she gives her a glower. I'm like, that's a fucking puppet acting without words.
Yeah.
And they go back to Sarah's room, and she gives her Lancelot the bear.
Because they're in her house, suddenly, kind of, right?
Yep. Yeah, and she's giving her all her old toys she's lost, like her panda slippers.
Because she's getting distracted, and she says, look, I found this. Look, I found your gerbil donut who died 4 years ago. Then he found her gerbil Muffy that went missing 5 years ago.
I knew this was going to be a Tim list.
And then I found your pet gerbil who passed away 6 years ago. And here I found your book, How to Perform Surgery on Gerbils Without Breaking the Bank. Without breaking the bank.
Good delivery, Tim.
I'll just edit in the best one.
I love when you read your list and you can't even read. You type them out too, right?
I do.
It's not even like you're reading bad handwriting. You're just like, hey.
It's in big type right here. It's too big, maybe.
So Sarah realizes that the toxicity of wallowing in nostalgia in this point. And she freaks out, and then her room destroys itself. And then, like, you see, like, the walls pull down suddenly, and you can see the labyrinth outside. And she gets pulled out of a hole right near the gates of the Goblin City by Didymus and Ludo. And they're being followed by Hoggle, because he's all like, I have to stop them from taking vaccines.
He's still saying, smells bad. I can't do that.
Well, it's Ludo that does it. Smells bad. All right. They sneak into the Goblin City, which is a pretty impressive set, I think.
Well, that big iron guy.
They fight this gate robot. These two doors come. That is cool, right? Yeah. A gate comes together, and then this robot steps out the middle, and he's got an axe, and they're fighting there.
It's like Master Blaster again, though. He's got a little guy up top.
It is like Master. It is a little guy up top. Master Blaster.
Me, Master. You, Blaster.
And he says, Ludo, sad. And while Ludo and Jennifer Connelly are dodging it, and Didymus is having an argument with his dog, Hoggle saves the day by jumping off a wall onto the gate guy's head and knocks it off. There's a little tiny goblin in there. He brutalizes the goblin. He beats this little guy up. And then, in what is my favorite scene in the whole movie, Hoggle jumps off as this thing's about to explode, and just like you could just tell they put a little person in a suit and threw him off a cliff.
Yeah,
he lands like a sack of potatoes, like flump. It's so delightful. So he saves the day. Everyone loves Hoggle now because she no longer needs to bribe him. Sarah gives him his jewels back, and he's like, well, let's go get that rat, Jareth.
Right.
He's hanging out, and a goblin runs in and tells him Sarah's almost there. So Bowie calls out the guards. Then we get this big goblin fight, which eventually Ludo defeats them all. They're hiding in a house. He goes, and all these boulders come in and just start mangling all the goblins. This is where Kenny Baker was. He played one of the rocks.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they put him in a suit, and they just kept rolling him down the thing.
Yeah, okay, I believe that.
Yeah, this was his last movie, because by the time they opened up that rock, Kenny Baker wasn't Kenny anymore.
Jesus.
He was broken, twisted, more machine than man, twisted and evil.
Is this your sequel already?
Nope. So then they defeat the goblin guard. They go to the throne room, and she's like, I have to do this alone. And Didymus is like, well, if you should ever need us. And she goes in and she has this MC Escher showdown with David Bowie.
George, I wanted to say MC Escher.
Do it. You do it, Tim. Let's use
now they go through a maze. It's all MC Escher.
It is. Did you notice in her room before they went, there was an MC Escher poster too?
Yep. We all had them, George. Everybody.
Everyone did. It was the 80s, folks. If you didn't have MC Escher, the government would come get you. Ronald Reagan would send stormtroopers to your home to smash up stuff.
He put up that Farrah Fawcett one in its place.
That's the 70s, Tim.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah, no. But we're keeping it in because I want people to hear you fail.
Now, did they build this? I was fascinated with all the work that would go into building that set.
A lot of it is built, yeah. It's cool. I mean, this is the thing. This movie, like, there's not a scene in this movie except for some of the scenes maybe in her house. That's not crazy set work.
No,
it's all these amazing creatures and stuff.
Yep.
I should mention that this is the bulgiest Bowie appears in the whole movie. It's insane. His bulge is like, a bird could perch on it. And there's these great lines where like they're having this kind of thing, and he's like, I've done it all for you, Sarah. I exhausted myself living up to your expectations. You wanted me to be terrifying. I was terrifying. And like he goes, isn't that generous of me? I ask for so little. Just let me rule you, and you can have all you want. Do all that I say, and I will be your slave. I remember, I'm just like, oh, that's good. And then she finally remembers her line from me in the movie, Tim. Remember she was in the park LARPing? Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's reading through the whole thing, and the one last line, which you already said already, ruined it. You have no power over me.
Yep.
And David Bowie makes this face like, well, shucks. And he kind of turns back into the owl. Early example of morphing in here, too. Yeah. Like, they do some morphing. And this is weird. I never caught this. Shout out to my wife for noticing this. When he's turning back into the owl, like, it's a puppet owl for a bit. And Hoggle, RFK Jr., has this vest that's very distinctive vest that has a face on the back of it. Okay. And when the owl's turning into him, the same face is on the owl's back. And she's like, she points at us, I'm like, what the fuck? I never noticed that. She goes, yeah. So I think Hoggle and Bowie are the same fucking dude.
Interesting. Might have been left out.
Might have been left out. Maybe it's like not George Lucas. Jim Henson was like, let's put this in to fuck with the kids, eh? But anyway, so he turns into an owl. He flies back home, and they're back home. They're in Sarah's house. And she runs in the bedroom, and Toby's safe, although he's just, it's such a fucking load in that diaper. It's been 13 hours.
She imitates Lodo.
She smells bad. Yes. And then she takes her bear Lancelot and she goes, I think you should have this, and gives it back to him because she's grown up some. Yeah. And her dad and stepmother come home and they're like, Sarah, we're home. She's like, hey, everybody, welcome back. And then in her mirror, she sees her friends. Yep. They're in the mirror. It's Ludo and
it's all the Muppets.
And RFK Jr.
Kermit.
And Didymus. And she goes, they're like, well, if you should ever need us, echoing the final words before they go into the final battle with Jareth. Yeah. And she goes, but every now and again in my life, for no reason at all, I do need you. And they say, well, why didn't you say so? And that's like a fucking Muppet party. Yep. It's all her friends, but it's also ones who are trying to kill her.
And I said, yeah, Kermit's there too.
Kermit's Miss there. Kermit's there. He's looking for Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy's out back with Fozzie. It's going to be disappointing.
The sad thing, all those creatures from the Labyrinth land, they had no immunity to the common cold on Earth. So they died a horrible death next day.
Is that your sequel?
No, just...
And while this is going, an owl watches from the window and he flies off. At the end.
Okay.
All right, Tim.
So my real thoughts,
let's hear your real thoughts. Everybody, wait, I want to do drum beat. Tim Hamilton, who somehow made it to well nigh of 90-something years on this planet, has never seen Labyrinth until this time. What did you think after finally seeing Labyrinth? Tim, England's own.
I am so glad that Jim Henson got a giant budget to do all those cool designs and Muppets and everybody else got to work on it. I liked all that. Amazing puppetry. I probably would have liked it if I saw it at a younger age but even at a younger age, I do think there's some failings in the plot. Like Wizard of Oz hangs together tightly. This movie, all they had to do was say, "We built your house on a goblin gateway." You just add that. Just like, why the
Wizard of Oz doesn't have that. Wizard of Oz, she gets carried away in a tornado and wakes up and sees the same fucking people. There's no explanation for that Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, she
Alice in Wonderland, she falls asleep on the bank of a river. They're dream worlds.
Well,
you wanted to have like this make sense like this. That's crazy.
But that would have been easy. Yeah. Easy to add. That's where it was built. That's why this happens. And just a few more rules about who had power over what. That's all. That's all.
It's pretty clear.
It's great fun.
He has no power over her.
It's a fun movie. I liked it. I would have liked it younger, but I liked it.
This is why my wife couldn't be in this podcast. Right now,
I'm complimenting it.
She would actually jump through the screen of the Zoom that we're recording on and defenestrate you. She'd throw you out the window.
But did you hear what I said? I loved all the puppetry.
You loved all the
great
puppetry.
Fun. I enjoyed
Did you love the performance of David Bowie? Did you love the performance of David Bowie's bulge?
Yes, much better than.
Did you love the performance of young Jennifer Connelly?
He's not the best actor, but he's a great musician. Come on. But it was fun.
What? He played Pontius Pilate in The Passion of the Christ.
Oh, never saw it.
Last Temptation of Christ. That's the wrong Christ.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
So, hey, I give it more stars than negative stars. I just think that you need a stronger story around it.
You are the worst person alive.
I loved all the Muppet stuff. I loved it.
Now we have the part of the show where Tim and George talk about how this movie is like Star Wars and Labyrinth.
Oh, well, how is this like Star Wars? Well, you guys saw Ludo. Ludo's a big Chewbacca type of character. And if you don't know about Chewbacca, he's a big, hairy kind of character.
Yep, he says, smells bad.
They both say that.
Yeah.
So neither Ludo and Chewbacca believed in vaccines or modern medicine, and they both tragically died of heartworm.
I blame Hoggle for that.
Yes.
And also this was executive produced by George Lucas.
Yeah.
And that's how this movie, Labyrinth, is similar to 1986's Labyrinth.
How?
They both were executive produced by George Lucas. That's what I'm going to say.
Nice.
Yep. Okay.
Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you. I'll get you.
Revenge.
I'll get you. A revenge?
Yep. Revenge.
Revenge, you want me to get this out mine out of the way first?
I mean, yours is going to be very long. Mine's going to be very short.
Okay.
Yep.
Mine didn't be long.
It's going to be long. You always say, you're like, it's only 3 pages. And it's like an hour later you finish. And it's like a weird thing that has nothing to do with the film. Here we go. Start the music.
Later in life, Sarah left home. She went to college.
Uh-huh. She went to Yale University in real life. Do you know that about Jennifer Connelly?
That's where she went, yeah.
Ivy League grad.
Well, Toby, he finds her
real life. Toby grew up to be a director. Did you know that?
Gets older, yeah. But before that, he's a teenager at home.
He was.
After Sarah went off to school. And
ugly, lumpy teenager.
He's reading her diary, and he finds out that one night she wished him away to these goblins and almost let him be eaten by David Bowie or whatever David Bowie was going to do. He was going to train him to be a spider from Mars or a thin white duke. He didn't know. So he thought he should get revenge on his sister. But then he looked through the diary a bit more, and he sees on another night she wished that fairies would come and steal away Toby. And she had to travel to a land of doors painted black, a place ruled by Mick Jagger. But he was known as Jumpin' Jack Flash. And Jagger had her under his thumb, but she told him, you can't always get what you want. And thus Sarah got Toby back.
All right.
Then Toby sees another entry.
Can't wait for the inevitable Beatles one.
He sees Sarah was angry another time. She wished Toby would be taken away by Baba Yaga, which is a witch who lived in a house that had chicken feet. And the Baba Yaga was played by Kate Bush, so she was known as the Baba Yaga Bush.
Uh-huh.
And Sarah ran up that hill to where Toby
kept running up that hill.
Baby Yaga Bush was.
Yeah.
And Sarah was able to unleash the hounds of love and chased Baba Yaga away. And she got Toby back.
Did she not give up at one point? She don't give up?
Nope. And she didn't.
Come on, that's that Kate Bush song with Peter Gabriel.
That's where they got glued together by accident.
Yeah,
we
they got glued together in previous episodes.
In the whole video. So Toby's upset. He's got to get revenge on his sister. But then he read more of her diary about when she was older and she became the mean girl at school. He read detailed plans she made for tormenting the less popular girls. She was so mean, because her Muppet friends died of the common cold. And Toby read that she did some horrible things to other girls. She even had a plan to dump pig's blood on the prom queen while U2 played Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Oh, wow. Mashup of Carrie and U2, okay.
But in a twist, Sarah ended up being the prom queen, and she got blood dumped on her while they played End of the Line by the Traveling Wilburys to mock her because that was her favorite band. So she left home to go to school, and she learned to be a better person, Toby thought. She realized she became a really nice person and got good grades at school, and she met this guy she happily married. His name was Dustin Diamond. He was Screech from Saved by the Bell. He seemed like a cool guy, and she thought she...
Actually, I like that because that means I would have had more of a choice for a chance for
yes. Her. She lived happily ever after with him until, he had some problems.
What did happen to him? He's dead, right?
Oh, don't make it. Yeah, he did die, but he had a lot of unhappy stuff before then.
Okay. Was it child porn?
No, he did make a sex tape when he was older.
Oh, he did. Okay.
So then he tried to
know what I'm doing the rest of my night.
Looking up his sex tape.
Yeah.
Screech, Saved by the Bell.
Dustin Diamond sex tape.
Yeah, it wasn't too long.
That's pretty good, Tim. Round of applause.
Jeez, thanks.
All right, here's my story. I remember when Sarah has that book, the Labyrinth, that describes stuff.
Yes.
Remember, that's where she reads the spell. So she's in about a year's time, maybe less. She's kind of limping through it, and she reads, when I first got into Labyrinth, I met that little worm, the one that says, hello. Turns out, right after I walked off frame, if I had kept going the other way, I would have gone right to the middle of the Labyrinth. I would have saved all that trouble.
That's true.
So Sarah went into the Labyrinth. She stepped on the worm and killed it. The end.
That's it?
Yeah, I want to keep it short. You've been talking how you got to keep it short. Didn't stop you from talking about the Doobie Brothers for 6 hours.
God.
But
it is short, George. If we didn't tell stories, we would have been done.
Yep. If we didn't talk about the Doobie Brothers, I could have done a real revenge story. Instead, Mr. Aloe the Worm gets smeared by Jennifer Connelly on a wall. Also, Hoggle hangs himself.
Oh, he didn't put her on a hook and go fishing with the worm?
I thought about that. If I had more time to tell the story, I would have done that. But I didn't because we talked about the Doobie Brothers.
They're hilarious.
All right, so Tim, with today, we really, truly, and fully put an end to the ill-conceived and wretchedly conducted 50-state initiative, where we toured the 50 nifty United States, plus 3 territories, plus the United States as general, plus England as the dried husk that we were exuded from, and probably a few other ones I forgot. Tim, what is the new... Where are we going from here in Seddy Bimco? Where can we don't even have a feud anymore. Our last feuding partners gave up. They surrendered. What can we do? Should we just end this thing?
Maybe.
Okay.
Surprise.
Right, you heard it, folks. End of the show.
No, we're going to continue.
Damn it.
And I know what George is alluding to. I don't know if we need to announce it, but we're going to maybe change up what we do next week instead of revenge stories, but we'll still talk about revenge at the end of the movie. Maybe we'll keep it a secret.
Maybe we'll take revenge on each other each episode.
Well, yeah, we could by the movies we pick. So,
yep.
So,
what's the new episode? I'm so anxious. What is it? What is it?
Well, first, letters. There's no letters.
Of course. Wow. We don't even.
We do get them every other week.
That's true. We do get letters.
It's expensive. Oh, so next week we're back to just picking some bad movies.
Is there a theme?
Not right now. We'll talk about some themes for later.
Okay.
We'll just do whatever right now.
What's it gonna be?
I need that. I need just whatever. I looked at all the movies. I'm like, I can't believe I can choose from any of these movies. There's too many to choose from.
Oh man, if you choose one of your turds with all these movies to choose from, it's on you.
Well, they're all turds, but
yeah, this wasn't a turd.
but someone caught my eye with a little snippet from the review I read. So good news, George. Good news, George. Okay. Bigfoot. The movie is called Bigfoot.
Oh, wait.
Bad news.
Wait, maybe
it's from 1970.
No, it's not. Okay.
Sorry. Badly filmed. Bad sound I looked at.
It's past the 60s, so I'm okay.
Here's a snippet from a review. It's got more than its share of dull, boring sequences, especially the endless scenes of the bikers tooling around.
Oh, no.
Which George loves.
That's a hallmark of a Hamilton film.
It's on YouTube.
I'm looking at the poster for right now. It is a Bigfoot smashing a bike.
Yep. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's got John Carradine in it.
Oh, I know. Poor guy.
And someone named Doodles Weaver.
I didn't look at him. Doodles. He was born with that name.
All right, we're getting back to the basics. Bigfoot.
So basic.
Bad sound quality. Bikes riding around. This is what Seddy Bimco was built on.
We'll see you next week. Don't give up.
Next week. Don't give up.
Keep at it.
Keep
think
at
of your
it.
own.
You think of your own thing. You're just using editing to make it sound like you're saying it first.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
Hey, I didn't cut out that front part about the Doobie Brothers meeting rerun.
You should have.
I didn't tell you the best part of that episode. When he meets the Doobie Brothers.
Michael...
No, rerun.
McConnell? Michael McConnell? Is he the guy from Doobie Brothers?
No, rerun meets the Doobie Brothers.
Uh-huh.
He just shakes the first one's hand that he meets, and he says, "Which Doobie you be?" And that was the big laugh line of that episode. You got to watch this episode because it's so terrible. I'm going to send it to you. It's on YouTube.
I'm never going to watch it.